Come, confess your guilt. Tell us the names of your accomplices. Then perhaps my lords the judges will show mercy.
I have no accomplices. These crimes are not my crimes. Please stop this foolishness. We both know why I have been brought to trial, and we both know why I have been found guilty.
Devil! Witch! Heretic!
Welcome back to another episode of The Harbor. I'm your host, the Kino Cowboy. I'm with my co-hosts, Scott Keith, Austin Casher. Casher's doing a very lame bit. We're here to talk about Ken Russell's The Devils from 1971. We have not talked him on this cast yet. One of my formative films was Altered States, and me and Cody watched that while we were in the middle of shooting Moonman. So of course it was very formative, crazy. So I was like, well, what else has he done? The Devils. Okay, this is one of his earlier films. That's also one of those Tumblr GIF set movies that I had favorited probably 7-8 years ago. I watched this last year, and as soon as I finished it, I wrote it down and said, this will be on the Harbor's 2024 schedule. And here we are.
Yeah, this movie's fucking wild. I couldn't decide if it was humorous or just downright fucked.
Yeah,
I think it's a little of both. Also, I do have to say I am a former Catholic, so seeing a lot of this, just over the top, religious fucking traumatic shit happened. Just kind of I don't know if it was nervous laughter or what, but there were moments where I was like laughing, maybe in shock.
Well,
I know there was a point where my girlfriend called me in the middle of this, and she was just. We were just chit-chatting. I was like, yeah, I'm watching this, and it's pretty humorous to me, even though it shouldn't be. And then she called me back to ask another question 45 minutes later. I went, this is not as funny as I thought it was.
There are moments. We will get to it. The movie overall is not funny, but there are moments that almost lead into farce because of how extreme and over the top they are. But overall, it is, for the time, insane that this movie came out, and it had some cuts, but they weren't crazy cuts. It was still X-rated, so yeah, I think it's really cool.
And it's Oliver Reed at his peak. Fucking, yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I really liked this movie.
Well, and it's in saying that, do you think this movie would have been X-rated if it hadn't been about religion? Hypothetically, I know there's not a way to make this movie without it being about religion.
I think enemas make anything X-rated back then.
Yeah, maybe in 1971. Yeah, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Anything back then, like sexual torture, I think is what drew it over the line, and not so much the religious aspect. Although apparently the Vatican fucking hated this movie.
Oh yeah,
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's almost as if I mean, we just did Midnight Cowboy. That was rated X. That was way less. That was
way more tame. Yeah.
So I don't know.
This movie makes almost every movie I've ever watched seem tame, in a lot of ways, outside of Saw sequels maybe, but even that, this actually has something to say, or does it?
I think it has something more intense to say than just religion bad. I think it's just all fucking people are bad, is essentially what it's trying to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's been, for hundreds of years, it's been Protestants versus Catholics in a lot of ways, and obviously this was at the heart of that. And so there's going to be mega backlash, considering it's Catholicism, Catholics trying to stuff out Protestant separation from the church since fucking 500 years. So of course there's going to be pushback for this movie, especially back then. That's what makes it so invigorating to me. And even 50 years later, or maybe 60, no, 50. But I was fascinated by how this film was presented and how it didn't hold back. And honestly, the budget's pretty good for what it is. That town that they recreated, it looks 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 like it's how it should.
It does, but it looks almost like a modernized, almost sterile vibe.
Yeah,
Like
it's
he
cool.
wanted this almost sterility to the set, so that when they started sinning, it contrasted against that, as
Yeah.
they sullied their environment. That's what it felt
Yeah.
like to me.
Or like when there's any kind of sense of death around it, it feels a lot darker and just disgusting. Like when he's walking the pavement after sleeping and with that woman and getting her pregnant and telling her like, you'll find someone else. He leaves and they're like, bring out your dad, which,
Oh yeah, that's Monty
Yeah.
Python.
I
But
wrote
they
that
had-
down that like there's no way that I'll ever be able to hear that and it not be ruined by Monty Python. That's how it
No,
is.
for sure. But also he says the most like badass line I think I've ever heard anybody say in response to I'll see you in hell. He says, hopefully walking on a living pavement of the boarded bastards. And
Yeah.
I was just like, this movie, this is fucking badass. Like I already
Yeah.
like this.
It's a cool movie.
It's a fun, it's over the top. But getting back to like whenever there's death around, it seems like there's just like a stinkiness to the area, which should be for like any kind of like medieval times, and like even going to the end where she's walking through the gravel and just it just seems
Right,
like
it's not quite as poopy as Hard to Be a
no,
God. but-
no,
No,
no
nothing
movie will
will be.
ever be as poopy.
But there is a pretty hardcore shot of that really deteriorated corpse with maggots coming out of it.
Yeah.
With real maggots.
Yeah.
They got real maggots.
It's really cool.
You think
How'd
those are
they
paid
harvest
actors?
that? Those don't last long.
Yeah. I don't know.
You think they're part of the Screen Actors
But
Guild?
Yeah.
for people who don't know, the film is based off of events, historical events, and it opens with that message and saying the film is based on historical facts. That's right, fact. The principal characters lived, and the major of the events depicted in the film actually took place.
Set in
obviously.
1953.
And so it's like called the Loudun possessions, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Aldous Huxley also wrote a book on it. Brave New World guy. He wrote one that they heavily referenced, which I didn't realize Aldous Huxley wrote nonfiction, which now I'm gonna read this book. Because I'm super interested in what this is. But yeah, Loudun.
I refuse to even try to pronounce it right because I disagree with French as a language.
Yeah, so yeah, it basically witchcraft trials. It's nice to get a witchcraft, like a witch trial kind of movie that isn't in Salem or America. It's in France. And it is a good setting, backdrop of partially the nunnery, and obviously what I like most about this film is that it has one of like the most bastardy bastards, Grandier, Urbain Grandier, and he's a priest, and it immediately sets his scene by showing him sleeping around and going on about like how it's possible for humans to be at like a certain level of worship and shit. And you're like, okay, this guy's fucked.
He has this like he wants power,
Yeah.
but then like he's also kind of the less of the two evils of what shows up.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like he's trying to protect the town, but for his ulterior motives, where he is like the cardinal is sending people over to just decimate this town now that there's no governor.
It is, but he's also causing a lot of shit within the town, and he's laying a lot of beds that he doesn't want to sleep in because
He's just
thinks
fucking
he's got it.
people.
Well,
He wants to sleep in them.
He's just getting some
yeah.
tail, dude. It's dude being bros.
No, it's just what?
Everybody's letting their animal instincts take over in this movie, and I just think the movie, as it progresses more and more into depravity, it's not that Grandier becomes noble. It's just he becomes sympathetically sinful versus just manic and putting weird enemas into nuns and twisting the Bible so you can, I don't know, have orgies with nuns.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, he's like a fucking womanizer and a bad, like not necessarily a good person, but he's not manipulating a group of Ursuline nuns into fucking each other in front of him or or all of this other stuff. It's one woman who goes psychotic, which then creates, which is a phenomena like a frenzy of sorts, like a mental crises, and that's what a lot of people think this was in the real life. I think that's
Yeah.
what Huxley speculates, and that's what I'm assuming. Uh, Ken Russell, or was that his name?
Yeah.
That's what he's like speculating as well, because like there is documented accounts of like what happened in that church, which is what they portrayed here. And it's just mass hysteria, man.
It is, but there's also just an interesting part of like at first you think he's just a priest who's got fingers in a lot of pies, if you might say it like that. But also you get to this point where you realize that the the late governor put him in control after he died. So now we get like this more sense of what Grandier is capable of and that he really is in charge of this town. Because like they have that they're the walls are being commissioned to be like torn down and shit, but there's no like actual proclamation available. And so he like on a whim is able to have his entire fleet like pull weapons on those people on that guy just like and you're like, oh shit, this is far beyond like a priest's power.
Yeah, on the
And-
feds. They're
Yeah.
trying to take his guns away
pretty much.
out of my cold dead hands.
Yeah.
Second Amendment,
Which is pretty
bitch.
badass, actually.
But
Um,
so I do like a lot of it does follow him and what the kind of stuff he gets into. And you kind of get to see him trying to keep a line of to the public of what's sacrilegious and what's not. And he intervenes at certain points, like just letting that lady die of her ailments instead of trying different shit. Like they were trying like bees and shit on her skin and
it's
stuff.
archaic shit, which is
Yeah.
that's one of the things that made me laugh was there was a fucking crocodile underneath her. And
Yeah.
I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, and then he uses that crocodile in a sword fight. Like, tell me there's not like this. He had to intend some kind of humor in this.
Oh no,
fight.
that's funny. When he
Yeah.
pulls the crocodile out and blocks the sword
It's a bit absurd. It almost leads into farce at points.
Like there's points, and that's why it's like I was like, man, there's this feels like it's coming off as just the darkest comedy ever, and then it gets to certain scenes, and you're like, no, this is so fucked up.
Yeah, it just gets kind of fucked.
But that's part of his, I don't know, him engaging those guys and entering a sword fight, and he's really self-destructive, and he ends up completing his goal in the end. Because I remember there's one quote in the movie. He says he has a great need to be united with God.
Yeah,
Uh,
which is another
Yeah.
cool fucking quote, dude. Oliver Reed could be like fucking saying something stupid, and it's still gonna sound cool. Like that drunk
Yeah.
bastard knew how to fucking do his lines.
Yeah, I thought about gelling my mustache up like his for the cast, but I didn't do it.
I do want to point out something when we talk about like how bad Grandier is. He doesn't really have any kind of fucking interaction with the person who causes all of the turmoil in the town because of her lust.
That's the thing. That's the crazy part is like in this movie and in this story, Grandier is like a fucking pussy god. Everyone wants to have sex with him, and it's crazy as hell.
It's awesome.
And the Reverend Mother, especially, of course, that's like the heart of the story. Is she
This-
cannot stop lusting after this guy. I'm like, damn, what is he doing?
It's like if Quasimodo switched roles with Frollo and then fucking got an enema. But it's seriously like they don't have any interaction for her to fall in love besides the fact that this is just some big
That's the
dicked
point, though. Is she's
priest.
confined herself into the nunnery, and she looks on with envy and with lust, and she can only handle so much. And she's put it, she's the head of she's the mother superior, so she has to hide it even more than the other nuns. So it's going to build up. And
which is hard. It's like when you tried to hide jerking off from your parents in high school, but times 10.
Or like when you jerk off on Christmas and think God's gonna smite you to hell.
Oh yeah, dude. When my grandmother died, I didn't jerk off for like a week or two, and that was at that age I was. That was a long time.
I'm not gonna tell you what I did when my grandma died. Anyway, another thing I want to point out is like she does all this just in lust, but it's like in jealousy too, because like she probably wouldn't have done anything if she didn't know he was going for Madeline at that point, and then kind of condemns that whole fucking city over her fucking insatiable lust for the sexy priest.
I don't know. I
It's
think
kind of like how Eve destroyed mankind in the Bible because women are the source of all the problems.
Dude, yeah, you fucking rib, dude.
Do you think Grandier was just the only one who bathed? That's all it took back then.
Yeah, maybe so, dude.
Probably, yeah. Well, it's
That's
like
just so funny.
and just
It's
thinking
like,
about it, it's like, yeah, Cardinal Richelieu, Richelieu, fuck the French. I, he was looking for a way to keep Lubon, within his grasp because it's like that's one of the last places that they need to really spread their Catholic bullshit. And even though Urbain's Catholic, isn't he? Like, we're gonna try to take this city from him and destroy it.
yeah,
But they needed a reason, and Jean fucking gave him the reason. Yeah, I'm horny because he's the devil, and the devil makes me horny.
yeah.
Which says a lot about her. I don't know, man. I'm Team Urbain on this motherfucker, dude. I really don't think he did that much wrong. He's just a player.
No, dude. Dude. He he has whores coming up to him in confession, and he tells one. He literally tells
You're
her if
cutting
God
out.
wants her to suffer, then she'll suffer. Like it's not his
Hey,
problem.
I don't. He cut out kind of re say what you did there. He like went.
Uh, I said, I said he literally at confession has
It's still
whores
fucked
coming
up for
up to
me.
him, asking why they don't want him, why he doesn't want her. And he literally says, God, if God wants you to suffer, then you will have to suffer. Like, that's cold as fuck.
Well, that's Catholicism for you. It's what it's all. Christianity's all about suffering. All religion, really, but that's all it is. I'm Methodist, by the way. If that's so, these Catholics can get it.
I grew up Baptist.
Yeah,
It's
there's
worse.
no confessional booth either. People are just kind of out there.
Yeah, you just
Is
gotta
that
be kind of
historical?
quiet. But like, yeah, so yeah, he's a bastard. I don't know. Like it starts with him sleeping with that one chick, then it starts with him talking to another whore, and then he has the conversation with that one chick who wants to be a nun, and he says she's like questioning him and all the stuff that he's doing, and he's like, "Well, look, it's uh-oh, there you are."
Damn it! Sorry, guys. It's been raining on and off all
Yeah.
day here.
Okay.
It seems like my connection's way better now that I turned
That's
it off and
okay.
turned it back on.
Anyway,
Repeat what you were saying, dude,
You
because
were yeah,
like
you were talking about
Urbain
well, I
and
was
what
gonna
he was
say he
doing.
would like he's being a bastard, but also like when he's talking to that woman who wants to become a nun and she's questioning him and stuff, and he says that it's a high sacrament to be married. And that chick says, being a virgin is a great virtue. And then he says he marries what does he say? He marries something great. Oh, he finds marrying being like a great virtue, and then she says, that being chaste or chaste, however you say it, is like better.
I just like Urbain, dude. I think, yeah, he's a horny person. He does a little bit. He's a bad person, but for the time, he's a lot better than these torturers at the church. Like, I'm sympathetic. Man wants a little pussy. Can't have a whole lot of pussy. He's got God's pussy he's got to fuck. So it's like he's gonna go get it on the side. He's gonna manipulate it a little bit, but like he's not fucking shoving things inside of people to prove they're virgins or spraying disgustingnesses into their mouths while they're fucking each other with crucifixes and watching. Like this dude
He
comes
doesn't get
in,
the
he sees
chance.
that, and he
No,
comes
I
in and he's
do.
appalled. He's like, this is perverse. At least I don't fuck in the house of the Lord."
Yeah, he at the end of the day, I do believe he is committed to the faith, and he shows that at
And
the end of
I
the
think he's
film.
also committed to the town though too. And I
Yeah,
think he's committed to the best of what the town is. And he's not over governing. He has the power to, but it seems like as long as he can just like be who he is and not get shit for fornicating with one of the women around there, then he's fine.
it really just was like a snowball effect because of this horny
Horny fucking hunchback, dude.
reverb number. Yeah, because like she you get a sense of her, who she is, when that lady comes and wants to be enter the sanctuary or whatever, because she, a lot of women, and the what I find interesting is that she like straight up tells the lady, like, we're a lot of us are nuns because we either didn't have make enough money, or we were a burden to the family, or some of them were not married off or stuff like that. And it's like she's already clearly starting to be a little bit unraveled or disillusioned, and but she still gives the lady a book to study and wants to question her after she studied it, but like it's already set in motion. And because you're defending Grandier, and I agree, because it gets so crazy that she's like having visions. Like the first vision, she's like kissing his feet as he like steps off and stuff. But then
Yeah.
the second vision is where she sees Christ being crucified, and then it turns into him, and he like comes down
She's licking
off
his
the
wounds.
cross and walks up to her. Like, what kind of trauma do you have to have,
She's
dude?
literally like licking the stab wounds of Jesus
Yeah,
Christ on the body of Grandier. And you're just like, yeah, fuck this lady. This lady does not is just nuts. Like she's one of the craziest women I've seen inside
it's
the film.
insane to have these kind of thoughts, but it does make you feel bad for her and people of this time. And it's much like on a smaller scale and not as intense, but it does remind me of some of the thoughts I would feel guilty of when I was 13 years old, and like be like, oh, I hope God didn't see that while I was praying to him and stuff like that. Like it's not, it's not real.
Religious trauma is all the way through, dude. Like fucking, like I said, I grew up Catholic, and we had like the monastery and fucking not monastery, but Catholic Church at Conway has some rooms that look like similar to the fucking altars there. And nuns didn't wear that outfit anymore, but they wore something fucking close. It made me go back on the website today to see who was still alive from that church when I was there.
Wow.
And the Deacon Pupini, fuck you, excommunicated me and my mother from the church and the rest of my family because she wouldn't get an annulment.
Oh
Um,
shit.
so yeah, he's still alive some fucking how. Sorry, I had to go.
Excommunicado.
Yeah,
I never,
dude.
I never. Yeah, I guess growing up Methodist, which there's no real rules. I mean, there's rules, but there's no rules.
It's like close to Catholic, like that and Episcopalian are both like diet Catholics.
Yeah, it's very. I guess I've heard it described as that. Um, I just never understood the point of religious bureaucracy of having men make decisions for God, which is clearly a power thing. Obviously, anybody with half a brain. And this movie is making that observation. I don't know if I was blown away by any of the observations or commentary in this movie, but it's still a wild ride, and I think for its time, probably an important movie. Although not a lot of people saw it. I think not in the
I
states at least.
I want to agree that I wasn't blown away by the point of the movie, but I was blown away by how they fucking did it.
Yeah.
Like this is the most loud fucking anti-humanity film I've fucking ever seen, dude. Like everybody in it just is just disgusting or like sinful or just like
Also, like,
very
we're
judgy.
desensitized, okay? We're in 2024. We've
Enemas
seen a
don't get me,
lot of
dude.
movies.
Yeah,
We
I'm watching
know
one right now.
we know things. We know how the world works, and so of course you're not gonna be blown away. It's just like it is shocking to see how far, and disgusting how far some of these characters are willing to go and get wrapped up in everything. Like the beatnik looking guy, the guy who has long hair, who looks like he's from the
The
70s.
Barre, the
Yeah.
fucking dude, not gonna
Yeah.
lie, that dude's fucking hot in this movie. Like he's a sexy dude in this movie, but then he turns into like the most fucked up individual
Yeah, but
possible.
he's the only one that doesn't. He looks out of place. Like, he looks like a
He
fucking
does. He looks like a fucking rock star. He looks like he should
yeah.
be in like Phantom of whatever we watched.
Phantom of the Paradise.
Yeah,
Or in
dude.
Tommy, because this guy directed
Yeah.
that movie. He looks like he could be from the Who or something.
Oh
He,
yeah.
he is a very sexy rock star. I think that's almost an intentional anachronism.
I think
Not
so
going
too.
full Jesus Christ superstar, but just making him look like that just to show the sexual energy and power that he has.
And then you've got fucking the fucking Muppet Waldorf or whatever the that's what they reminded me of, the chemist and the doctor or whatever that were like the
Oh,
torturers.
oh,
Oh
Like they were in
yeah,
a four fucked up
that's an
world. Like,
insane connection.
dude,
like you mean
there's
like
a point.
You mean like Beaker and what's his name?
No.
Yeah.
Fucking, I'm talking about like the two old men that make comments.
Oh
On,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the Peanut Gallery. It
yeah, what are
reminds
they?
you
It's
of
like Waldorf. I can't remember. I think it's Waldorf and something.
the doctors in heavy air quotes. If they were around today, they'd be all into essential oils and homeopathy and
Yeah,
all that
it's
crap.
Statler and Waldorf. That's who I'm talking about. Because they're the only reason why I say this, because for one, they're always in every scene together and always making like crude jokes or like at the expense of someone else. But at the end, the last place you see them is on a balcony laughing together. And I'm just like, we've got that Statler and Waldorf of the fucking medieval Inquisition times.
How easy was it to be a doctor back then? You didn't need a medical school or anything. I mean, there was no MCAT you had to study for. I could just
No.
throw chemical. I could just sting a woman with wasps and see like that'll cure your arthritis. Here, there'll be 500 shekels.
Yeah, I don't know if I even want to research that. It feels like a fucked up thing to research.
Oh, old medical stuff fascinates me.
Oh man. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it gets too much for my stomach for a lot
The
of it.
whole film, though, we were talking about execution. Like, we've seen a lot of stuff, but the special thing about this film is that it uses these like almost avant-garde level of noises and like almost like saxophone jazzy kind of craziness of the score to add to the madness that brings
Oh.
about this feeling of hysteria because it's like plagues and chaos, stressful energy, and it just amplifies it so much, and you get this air of just pure hysteria, and I
Dude,
love it.
yeah, the music's fucking nuts. There's that point where like Jean fuck the French. Jean, she's like she's like basically having a conversation with herself as if Grandier is going to be the new chat like priest there,
Yeah,
looking over everybody, and then she gets so excited when Grandier's finally here.
yeah,
And that music that plays goes from being like kind of nuts to this happy jovial to just like back to straight like demented.
yeah,
Because she finds out that it's the filet mignon. His name's not filet mignon. His name's
yeah.
mignon, but I thought
It basically is.
We can call
Might
him
as well.
filet mignon.
He's the fucking square ass dude walks in like the complete opposite of sexual
She got
appeal.
catfished.
Yeah, dude. It's just like
That's what it was.
that
It's just
music
crazy
though, man.
that
It just fucking the emotion, you feel that all the way there. And even that happy-go-lucky is like a hysteria.
you do feel bad for though. At least I do. Like, I mean, she's kind of crazy, I guess, but like it was brought on by the setting and also her religion.
She chose the incel life. Okay.
It's true.
She chose to
She chose it because
forsake
she's
everybody.
a hunchback and she probably could never find a suitor, and
No, that's
probably
probably true.
was insecure and stuff. And
Yeah, so let's fuck up the entire city in another man's life
she
and have
didn't
him
mean
burned at the
to.
stake.
She got too
She
horny.
could have fucking said something. She tried to hang herself.
Yeah, but that's crazy because like Grandier is such a pussy hound that this lady who wants to be a nun leaves and then talks to him, and then he's immediately like, well, maybe we should get married, and instead you shouldn't go join the nuns. Let's get married. Don't worry, it's a high sacrament because I decree it. So and she's like, okay, I guess.
Well, that is something that I still think is that the idea that priests can't marry is such bullshit. I mean, and then there's been entire religious schisms because of this, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like the point of the film, like Protestantism versus Catholicism.
Yeah, exactly. I
Fuck
mean,
all
that's just
this
one thing,
bullshit.
but it's Anglicans, they can marry, right? Yeah.
I have to say, dude, I bet the scenes where the women are just going ape shit had to have been really either just torturous to film or some of the most fun you'd have like filming, because all those women either look like they're having a blast because they're like hysterically laughing and things like that, and then some of them are like beating the shit out of the men that are there. Like all of that looks incredibly real and like violent. Like it,
Well, how do you and that's one reason and this isn't not a complaint, it's just an observation. This movie would be harder to make today because complaints actually get listened to nowadays, at least sometimes. Back then the director had a lot more leeway to just abuse his power. So how do you direct that? How do you direct chaos?
I will actually say that in the last few years, I've in recent press junkets, I've listened to certain women talk about how the fact that this is a new thing, it's crazy, but like there have become more and more sets hiring on intimacy coordinators that take out the middleman, like or become the middleman.
Yeah.
And they've all praised these intimacy coordinators and has just they said it's takes nothing away from the movie, makes it flow better, making it better for women all around. So I think it could be doable today, especially with an auteur director who hopefully respects the privacy and security of people who want to undress and do things on camera. So I totally think it would actually be better now than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
So yeah,
but they didn't have that back then.
That's true.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, reading into this right now, apparently Russell hired a large cast of extras. This is off the Wikipedia if anybody wants to read into it. He called the Bad Bunch, and apparently one of the female extras appearing as a civilian was sexually assaulted by another male during
Yeah.
this.
That doesn't surprise me at all. That's all you have to do. It's like at Woodstock 99 when you were in such a big crowd. It was plausible deniability because there were just hands and madness going everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, that happened at the original Woodstock too, but at Woodstock
only
99
thing-
especially.
Yeah, the only thing cool, not cool, but like good about the reading this here is that Oliver Reed, who everybody knows stories, fucking Oliver Reed stories, like the drunkest man in Hollywood, drank himself to death during Gladiator.
Yeah.
He was incredibly kind and like really behaved like impeccably and like was just protective of her after hearing that, instead of being disruptive and confrontational as he normally is.
That's
So
good.
it's like, yeah, but damn, yeah, no, it sounds like, I guess it was not a blast.
Well, that's the problem. A lot of older films, you do get a lot of wishy-washy. You got to take some. I don't know. It sucks.
I wonder how
But
drunk Oliver Reed was on this film, honestly.
I don't know. Is he
That
that
man-
bad of an alcoholic?
No, dude, like, oh my God, Adrian, if you haven't read into Oliver Reed's alcoholism, it's some of the
All I know is that he was sober most of Gladiator, and then on a whim, like started to drink with like some people.
It was a bunch of sailors who wrote in and challenged him to a drinking contest.
Damn,
And he said, fuck y'all, and won the drinking contest and died.
damn. His liver was on 1%, dude.
Yeah, dude. He was like, Ridley Scott was like, you can't drink while you film this.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay. And then when they challenged him, he was like, well, they challenged me. Yeah, go and watch some old Oliver Reed interviews, dude. That man was a fucking menace.
Okay.
I really like Oliver Reed, but
Great
he's
actor
like,
though, yeah.
yeah, like he's like some of his fucking interviews, he is fucking drunk as a skunk.
I think what I like most about this movie, just it takes the insanity and like to the next level, is the fucking king. And like
yeah.
there's this awesome scene where Grandier is like speaking to the whole city about self-government and how it's important. And then it's juxtaposed to the king who's just casually killing and shooting Protestant men dressed in bird outfits and like laughing and having a silly grand old time. He's very flamboyant and shit.
Dude. And then him reappearing later as like the fucking whatever his name was. Duke Henry de Conde.
Yeah, basically going undercover because there was no LinkedIn at this time to verify.
Yeah, and saying that the relic he had was Jesus's blood. And it causes all of them to stop and be normal for a second.
That's so good.
And then he's like, psych. And then they all start getting fucked up.
Gotcha. That's the wrong number. No, dude, I love that. That his character did it takes it to the next level. Because
It's
like
really good.
yeah, as soon as he shoots those poor guys in the costumes, I'm like, yeah, this movie fucks.
Yeah, no, yeah. The opening scenes what got me whenever it's like the fucking he's up there as like Aphrodite, and it's just like the craziest opening scene for what turns into like one of the most chaotic films I've ever
So we
seen.
get those back and forth scenes, and then directly after that, we get the scene where Grandier's marrying himself to this woman, and then it's intercut with the Reverend Mother masturbating and then like self-harming as a form of punishment for her sins. So brilliantly cut film, and I love that kind of stuff so much. and it just exemplifies Reverend Mother's pain and suffering over or self-inflicted, really. But it's
That's like a Catholic thing, dude. You inflate. It's like there's some. You ever seen like a red fucking what's it called, the Da Vinci Code? Everybody was obsessed with that at one point. There's a character in it that just like beats the shit out of himself.
Yeah, self-flagellation.
I've never, yeah, it's hard because I've never been to a Catholic church.
Well, they do
Well,
that
that's not
every Sunday.
normal.
No, I know.
they-
I'm saying,
I didn't fucking flagellate, dude. No one did Catholic church.
no,
like
that's
that.
not what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I thought you Scott was like, no, they do that every Sunday.
I'm saying
No,
like
they do. They do.
their customs are so far different from what I grew up with. And when I really studied some of Catholicism, it's like the closest Christianity can get to like the occult in like a lot of its practices. But also, the only time I've been in a Catholic church was for my stepmom's funeral. And during that funeral, they did 50 Hail Marys. And I was like, well, what does this entail? And he repeated the Hail Mary thing 50 times. And it felt like it took eons. And obviously, I respected it because it was a funeral, but it was like, this is close to like some sort of like magic chant, like very occultish.
It is a magic chant. It's not close to. It is.
It is.
Yeah.
So if you look at all three of the OG Judeo whatever, like you got Islam, you've got fucking Judaism, you've got Catholicism. All three of those are very occulty. There's the praying 5 times a day. There's the Jews that have like the boxes that they do their prayers with. There's Catholics who fuck kids. There's all this stuff that's throughout there.
Well, and how much of that though is just because we as Westerners, our view of the occult is Christianity but inverted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to add something to King Louis. I want to go back to that.
Ooh, I want to talk like you.
Yeah, this Louis should have got canceled.
This movie needs more apes and monkeys.
There is it's weird because I think this movie is arguably progressive in a lot of ways, at least in the sense that it is calling out religious hypocrisy in a time when that wasn't as commonplace. I don't know how they felt about UBI or anything. There's probably a lot of UTIs in this movie.
Yeah.
But there's a common trope of if a man or a character is supposed to be decadent or immoral, they're portrayed as feminine. And that is taken to the nth degree in this movie, which is another point of it being, like almost to the point of farce.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that this is a very also it's French, so they hate the French, granted, but it's an anti-crown British movie, which I don't know what the sentiment was around the crown in the 1970s. But I wonder if any cultural critics or even audience responses thought, like, I almost would think that this could have been an American director because of how it is politically, how it's anti-authoritarianism and very individualistic versus the dangers of collectivism, because they seem to be able to sin while they're in a collective. It's just you can't be an individual. And I think that's the whole point of religion as a tool of control, is if you go back far enough to a time when we were really on the edge of, one bad harvest could mean famine for your whole people and everybody could die. You really had to keep everybody in line. That's why they cut your hands off for theft and stuff. Or even when they did stonings, they would get the whole town because it was like a firing squad where you don't know who lands the killing blow, so that diffuses responsibility, but it forces everybody to come together in this sort of collective sin. I don't know.
Totally. Yeah.
Mass hysteria to kind of like be able to express themselves sexually, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of like the woke Twitter mobs today.
Well, it's like, does mass hysteria lead to is that a real thing? There's a lot of people, there's a lot of different studies and all that fun stuff.
Of course it's a real thing.
Well, mass hysteria in a sense where they're actually all possessed and insane, or is it just them being like,
Well, there's
"Oh, well, if
there's
she
one
gets away with it,
story.
I could get away with
There's a
it."
story I read up on that happened like 1,000 years ago or something, where like it's been detailed and like written down that like there was just these people that all started dancing in the streets and
Yeah,
like couldn't stop dancing for like 2 days or something, and then all like collapsed and died or something. And so it's like it was like a bunch of like unexplainable events from the past and shit.
I wonder if that's something out in the water supply, and they started seizuring for 2 days, and they just didn't have the explanation.
Yeah,
That's how
probably.
isn't the Salem witch trials. People were basically trying to sneak away and have an orgy in the woods, and they got caught
Pretty
and
much,
blamed
probably
witches.
people being gay, honestly, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Oh shit, you must be possessed if you like to suck cock, stuff like that. I don't know.
Well, it's
But
like I'm curious to know. It feels like yeah, there's a ton of like witch trial related mass hysteria stuff. It's just all fucked
obviously the
up.
Reverend Mother is unhinged on her own because she literally bites the lady who brings the book back because she's married. She figured out that the
Yeah.
Grandier married her and all
No,
that.
she's
So
for sure insane. The other ones, it's like, are they insane or are they just like, yeah,
They're
they were
taking
wait.
advantage.
You take the bottle. Imagine not like masturbating for days, years, months. Like shit's gonna happen. I don't know. Like it seems very hard to me. I'm also not religious and don't have a control on that. So
so
I don't
you're
know.
saying you jerk off a lot?
I don't know. Who's to say? But not as much as when I was a teenager. But I was. Never mind. Uh, but it's like my distaste for that. What's his name? The professional witch hunter guy.
I loved him. He was probably
He
my favorite
says he has a
character.
I love him, but I hate him. He says he's
Yeah.
got this. He's an expert in like exorcisms and shit, and it's just like,
I love it. I love it so
Everybody in this
much.
movie lies on their
but
resume.
it's also just so sad because like it's clearly the guy's like telling him like, hey, these ladies they're just being lustful. It's not a sign of possession. He's like, you know nothing. This is not true. Like,
The guy like reeks of like 70s rock star too
he
when he
reeks of
walks
like
in.
this guy in this world. I think he's a loser fucking virgin. And he can't imagine a woman being this sex crazed, so he thinks it's
Like man
possession, and
dark.
also maybe this is his way into getting laid or
It is
sexually
his way into
touched.
getting laid. He ends
Yeah,
up.
I'm trying to figure out when else I've seen that guy in because he looked so familiar to me, but I really don't think I've
because
seen
He
this
him.
also
guy,
just
I
looks
think
like that guy.
from scene to
Yeah.
scene, it feels like you can't fully grasp how much he believes in the Word of God and how much he actually believes himself to be important in these ways, and how much of it is him just being a fucking gross prick.
Well, yeah, no, there's tons of people like that throughout history for the Catholics, dude.
Yeah, for
Catholics,
now, I've met plenty of them.
I know,
like
it's just
How
like
many
fucking
people do we know that have been able to justify their religious beliefs or twist their religious beliefs into doing whatever?
I know it's like, yeah, the Reverend Mother has problems, but he's the one who enables their behavior further and exacerbates it. So,
yeah.
and literally puts himself in the middle of it. It's like when the Duke or whatever shows up, he's like half naked himself in the middle of it all, like sweating, acting like shit's crazy, but like trying to
Yes.
pretend like it's not also kind of awesome.
It's pretty fucking wild.
And like half the nuns are nude and like the score is like escalating, and it's at that point where he's like looking around like all sweaty and all the nuns are doing crazy shit and stuff. That's why I'm like, okay, this is like almost veering into like parody or farce or
Yeah,
something.
that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of movies, but then there's like moments that really fucking disturbed me. And the enema scenes, anything that had to do with those enemas fucked me up. Except for the last one where she's like, I'm gonna exorcise these demons myself. And you're
Yeah,
just like, that's so fucking weird.
but it does this like it's like right after the sequence that suddenly it switches and it kind of has this real serious scene of Grandier. He's been out of the city. He's been away from like like the machinations of like everything, and it's like kind of separated himself from this while he's been going on his journey. So I think had some time to think and like clear his head and maybe come down a bit. And like it's kind of serious because he's promising to make change and help the city as he heads back, and I believe that he does actually want to try and do better. And
No, I
now
fully believe that he
now
wants
it's
to go and
suddenly
make
like
it.
it feels like it's up to him to get everything back in order. And yeah, it is kind of hard to tell because of his past behaviors, but you want to believe that he wants to do good.
So I think he wants to make the city better, but for his own like power trip. But again, like I think he recognizes what he is, and he's a prideful man. He even says that if he worked for the devil, he'd have to have humility, which he does not have. Which is another badass fucking quote said by Oliver fucking Reed. But yeah, no, I think he was very, very much coming to the town to be like, yeah, we're gonna have a way better town here, and something I could show off. Um,
Yeah.
and
But then, like, of course, kind of fairly, he's seen as sort of the root of the issue, and then he's apprehended as he
not
tries to.
it's not kind of fairly. That bitch was just horny, had never talked to him,
It's not
and
just
then
that. It's like
it's
all the
her.
women
She's the
he's wrong,
central figure.
all the women he's
He's
done
just
wrong.
complaining about getting friend zoned.
He's pissed off some of the clergy. He's pissed off a lot of the women in there. I don't know that.
Piss him off, so let's burn him at the stake because he's the devil.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying he becomes an accidental martyr in the ways of enabling like sexual deviancy.
Well, to add to my he did not deserve a chorus, at the end when she's handed his fucking femur, what does she do? She masturbates with it.
Pretty
He
crazy.
definitely didn't deserve it at all. I'm not saying that. I completely agree there.
Sounds like you said karma got him.
No, no, no. We're all Martin Luther boys here, We're not. We're standing
95
up for
Theses, boys.
I'm not a Lutheran.
yeah. Oh no, just I don't know.
It's a fun. It's a really great film. It's extremely loud with its points.
Yeah, it's kind of
Uh,
edgy.
but it's like edgy before edgy was
It's
edgy.
not edgy if it was made in 1971.
It's a little edgy.
It's
To
edgy
you,
before
maybe.
edgy was edgy. I love it. I think I
What would have
thoroughly
been the
enjoyed this
right
fucking
line
film.
for Scott Keith? You wouldn't have
Uh,
wanted to go this far?
I don't know.
Scott doesn't like enemas.
I think Dune does a better job with religious hypocrisy.
Oh,
May
okay.
thy knife crack
Not enough
and shatter.
sandworms in this
One of
movie.
them is a real, one of
show you a
them is
sandworm.
sci-fi.
I'll
I
show
think
you a
it's
real
cool to see
sandworm,
how
dude.
gross and fucking crazy it can get back then.
No, this movie's a ride. It's absolutely a roller coaster.
This has been one of my favorite ones we've done. Probably my favorite one we've done this year so far.
Good, good.
I
I knew you would
thoroughly
like it.
enjoyed this.
It's crazy, but it's not like
No,
shock value
no,
crazy.
it's what I'm saying. It was
bullshit.
hard for me to determine if this was a comedy or not in some spots.
It's like I hate shock value for shock value's sake. This is obviously there's a point to it, and they even had I like it to get a
I
little
love it.
gnarly. Like they
I do
cut
too.
down a little bit of the shit for the X-rated cut originally. Like they cut down some of his like when he gets his legs crushed and shit. They cut some of that
Which
down, which is
actually fucking
gnarly.
happens. But instead of using the leg crusher, I was reading what they did to Urbain. They took metal boots that went up to about the top of the shin that had spikes on the inside and slammed his legs shut into it.
That's so gnarly.
Fucked up.
And so
Imagine you get paid to think of these things. That's
Dude,
your
even the
job.
execute. Well, that's what's even more fucked up. And another thing to add that we need justice for Grandier is even the executioner was like, oh, dude, I'll make sure we hang you and give you a fucking quick death.
yeah,
He's like,
no,
this is
that's
all
fucked.
fucked up.
Burn him to death.
And then he was
That's
like,
just
well,
like
sorry, dude.
that is a very like tragic last 10 minutes of the film because they're constantly like saying repent, what are they're trying to get him to confess to shit, but he truly is when he's actually
man of
facing
God.
judgment, he's just praying for forgiveness, but he's not going to give in and just say some shit to get himself out of trouble. So I
Yeah.
think that's a great turn of character for him, even though I think deep down he doesn't have anything to give, and he'd rather go out like a boss. I guess I don't know. Confess what? And the hardest line to me in the whole movie is they ask him if do you love the church, and he says not today. Like, damn, dude.
Oliver Reed presents everything so badass. It makes
Yeah.
everything 10 times more badass. I fucking love Oliver Reed. He's one of my fucking favorite actors.
Yeah, dude. And to add to it, they like the humiliation aspect of like shaving off all of his hair and shit, putting him back into court as he gets sorted for execution. It's
Like
man,
shameful.
yeah. And of course, people just want these stupid fucking peasants don't know shit. They just think like, oh yeah, let's burn this guy. He's a
Well, there were a group of them that were like knew what the church was doing and then it was intentioned so they could get the town.
yeah, but it's just like
Like the
let's
baker, what was it? The baker and the fucking hotel manager or whatever.
yeah.
He was
It's just
like,
like,
yeah,
oh well, if we do this, then that'll make everything better, right? No, that's not the root of the issue.
Yeah, but they're bored.
Yeah, true.
That's their entertainment.
Yeah.
Either the circus or burning people.
And then the part I forgot about on rewatch is like the bastard child. They hold up the baby, like, look, your father's burning to death. Damn.
So
Not every baby gets to watch their father burn to death.
That's so fucked up, dude.
It's also like, oh, fuck you. You knocked this bitch up and did nothing about it, asshole. So I don't know. Sucks. But kind of respect to him though for going out like a boss. That's all I can say, really. Like,
Hey,
this movie is
Oliver
a
Reed.
cautionary tale on the importance of pullout game.
Yeah. Oliver Reed also went out like a boss too, in my opinion. I thought that was pretty bad.
yeah, I guess.
I don't know, man. It seems like that's the way he'd want to go. That's what I want to leave off on. If you guys are ever interested, read into him, dude. He's the shit.
I think Grandier might like be a top 10 pussy hound characters. Like
he's definitely like divine intervention is not stopping him from getting pussy.
He's up there.
makes up the rules as he goes. Fuck it, you know.
He's the sexiest priest I've ever seen on screen. Name another one. There's
Ooh.
not. He is the
Yeah.
sexiest priest in cinema.
How about the priest from the in-universe priest from fucking King of the Hill who says bye deals? That guy's pretty cool.
He is pretty cool.
But the
Vaya con Dios.
the anamorphic lens they use for a lot of the shots of the nuns, where they have all the nuns on the left and the right, and the Reverend Mother in the middle as her neck's crooked as she's like inching forward towards the camera. That's the kind of iconic shit that I really like and that I love for that kind of formatting. So there's a lot of great simple blocking, and then they know when to really get in there and just go crazy with which is combined with editing and cuts, but they really know how to get in there and change it when it needs to go completely off the walls. And so it's a lot of those shots that got me to watch this. Because I haven't been active on Tumblr in like 5 years, but I still go back to my old page and like scroll through and see if there's any films that I had saved on there. Because that's where I got a lot of stuff from, like when we did Perfect Blue. A lot of these things I watched in like, when I was like 21, 22. Not this one. This one was last year, but sometimes I go back to Tumblr and that's where I get some of my ideas for episodes.
This one has been on my list for a while. I just haven't had the chance or time to really sit down and watch it. That's what I love about this podcast. It forces me to watch shit that's been on my list for a while.
Yeah.
Like the next film we're doing has been on my list for goddamn forever. And it's like, why haven't I watched it? Oh, I haven't had a reason to. Oh, I've got a reason to now.
Well, sometimes I want to.
We're finally watching Star Wars.
I wanted to make my friends watch cool shit that I liked,
Yeah, man. I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, the next one is going to be the Night of the
another
Hunter.
Priest, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a more
it's more
Christian
religious shit.
bullshit. So
hey, Easter's coming up.
Hey, you know what? That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
It's this weekend.
Oh shit, that's on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, happy Easter, I guess, if you celebrate. This is a great one to put on at Easter brunch with your family.
Oh my God, my mom would kill me.
I did After that, we're doing Zack Snyder's Finnegan's Wake. That'll be fun. No, but I did look up what Ebert thought about this movie, and
0.
at the top he gave a thumbs down, but the review is positive, and he says that Ken Russell was like brave to make this movie, and that he felt brave to watch this movie, and like he thought it took a lot of courage, and because this review is from actually like 71, like before he started doing sneak previews with Siskel. So I do like to find old reviews from when they came out, especially this old. And so it was definitely interesting to see him talking about like the vibes of the theater before and after and stuff. And he said it was one of a kind.
Imagine going in thinking it's going to be a la a biblical epic, and then you see this.
Yeah.
No, he knew what he was in for.
You think it's going to be 3 musketeers and sword fighting, and then you come out.
No, yeah, I wonder how quickly people would walk out of that movie. Today, people will walk out of this movie today. We're dealing with so much neo-Puritanism, dude. So, yeah, this movie rules. Happy Easter, everybody. We'll see you next week with Night of the Hunter.
The blood of Christ compels you. Make sure to masturbate in it.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks.
Jesus.
If you want to support us, you can do the old, what's it called? Oh, yeah, subscribe.
Like, subscribe. You can also tithe in your Catholic church.
No, don't do that. Tithe to us, dude. Buy my book, The Kids We Used to Be, available in the link below. That'll support me directly, which will only help our channel grow. We have plenty of other episodes. We have a couple of video essays. Check those out. If you live in Arkansas, check Scott's comedy out,
April 11th, You Look Like, roast show.
There you go.
At Scott K Comedy. Follow me.
We have all kinds of stuff, and we're putting stuff out every week. If you like it, we'll be here next week. You know what I mean? Thanks for listening.
Vaya con Dios.